To all right. Our next session is for the topic is what am I at risk for as a remote online notary? And it's going to be presented by, know her as Tricie. The real name is, she calls it her alias is Artrice Johnson. Is that right, Tricie? You on it? There you are, Tricie. Thank you. Notarize for you, and you got a connection with Busy Insure there, lady. I'm gonna mute and let you take it over. Thank you so much for being a part of this program. It means the world to me. Thank you very
Of
much.
course. So, just
And
want to make
you
sure.
didn't. Is this your wig? Now wait a minute. We got to address that. Hold on now.
I didn't, that this is my actual wig. I didn't want to be too flashy my first time in front of some of these people, so I needed to warm them up first.
You look fine. You look wonderful. You look like you got a little more sleep than me, so you're doing well. You're doing all right, Tree.
Only because it was intentional. Remember, I had a weekend up in Napa. And Tech, I followed you. I've never knew that we're both from Oakland. Like not only pedestrians, but Oakland. So I was too excited to learn that about you today. So that was just a sidebar. But
All
yeah,
right.
I was up in Napa, John, all weekend. So that's the only reason I look rested. Please don't fall for it. I'm an entrepreneur. You know how that goes.
Yeah,
So
better know than I know. I hear you.
I wanted to make sure that I was able to give you guys 110% of me today. So, like I said, it was intentional. Thank you. I was able to leave the wig behind because I was able to do my edges. Okay. But anyway, I'll explain that one to you later, John. Let's talk insurance.
Love it.
So, before I get started, John, you know I'm a little long-winded. So, how much time do I have?
You have until 4:15. We'd like to turn the so you got 45 minutes.
Okay.
You have is that right? Yeah, that's no. You've got 30 minutes, and I'd like to turn the breakout rooms on at 4 if we need, if that
Okay.
needs to be 4:05, 4:10.
Nope. It's
It's
okay.
all
Just
good.
wanted to make sure that I'll freestyle if I have
I
to. So
I
that
can't get on people for going long when I was the first speaker and I ran long on
I
Amy's. So
know. It's like you
it's
get 2
hard.
minutes, no pressure.
No problem. Thank you, dear. Appreciate
No worries. So let's get into it. So a little about myself. You guys and most of the world knows me as Tricie, other than people who know me corporately. So we're gonna just have me put on my corporate wig that you guys can't see. John is forcing me to let you guys know my legal and notary. Well, my notary and insurance agent. I am Artrice. So I'm going to introduce her to you all today and talk to you because we are talking about something that's really serious. Although, no matter what you call me, insurance is going to be insurance at the end of the day, and it's something that we need. It is very vital for us as entrepreneurs, and it's something that we're not educated about, and we don't know what we're at risk for on a day to day basis with the things that we do that seemingly are nothing. It very small things, small tasks, things that we don't even consider is something that could put us at risk for something. And the whole time we are. So when John invited me to come and talk to you guys, I obviously was like, of course I'll be there. Because I kind of got into insurance specifically. Well, I stayed in insurance specifically because of the element of educating people about stuff they didn't realize they were at risk for and they were doing every day. So I was naturally very interested and excited to be here. So, John, thank you again. Um, just to expand a little more about me, I am a licensed insurance agent. I have been, this will or is my 22nd year. I started at a very young age. And I got into it by way of a customer service position that a call center that I applied for. And, they have you do all this training. I signed up, they walked us through everything. I was a licensed agent in the state of California and didn't realize it until it was time for me to renew my license 2 years later. That's how young I was. But I was very excited at the time because I realized I had something that I could continue to use, even outside of that job. Actually, I wasn't even at that job anymore. now that I think about it. But yeah, I was excited to know that I had a designation that I could use. And, it just kind of turned into a career for me. But I stayed in the field because I learned, and I was on the personal lines before. A good portion of my career was State Farm. I worked at Liberty Mutual also. I was also an agent for Countrywide Insurance. But people buying cars, purchasing homes, getting insurance only because they needed it to drive off the lot, or to close on their home loan, which I know some of you in here are loan signing agents, so that's not familiar. Like, you understand that, right? But it's more than homes and cars that we need protection for in life. And our businesses and us as entrepreneurs, that's another one of those things. And we don't realize that we need it, as notary publics, especially those of us who go into the loan signing side of this business. It's a requirement to get work with a lot of the companies that we're going to work for if we're not going direct. And even direct, they want to know that you have coverage, right? Um, but you still need to have insurance. E&O is what it's referred to as in the notary world. And that's a very antiquated term. I laugh because when I got back into notary, I'm like, oh, they still call this E&O, because you're going to see it more commonly referred to these days as professional liability. So that's what we're going to talk about first, is the professional liability, or E&O. They're synonymous. It's the same thing. I get a lot of people who ask, do they need professional if they get E&O? I'm like, well, no, you don't, because it's the same thing. So if you have one, you have the other already. So yes, they are the same term. Um, yeah, we'll get into those definitions in just a moment. Just a little more about me. So I was working for an agent's office back in 2006, where the sign on the window said Notary Public. When you have something like that, um, and posted in your window, that means that everybody who works there needs to be able to provide that service. So that's how I got into becoming a notary. It's like one door just opens multiple doors for you. My insurance license was the gift that kept on giving. And so back in 2007-ish, I got into loan signings, and it was nothing like the way it is now. But I only did it for a very short time, because right in 2008, the mortgage industry, took a nosedive. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with insurance. It's a little more reliable than this, which y'all have going on. But fast forward to 2020, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. I am a serialpreneur. I'm not going to get too much into that, because that's not what we're here to talk about. But some other streams of income I didn't have access to because I was homebound. And I'm like, well, what can I do? And I saw the money that people were making when I was writing policies for Notary Public. I said, let me see. And, my domain was still available. My business name on social media was still available. I said, these are signs that I need to get recommissioned and get some of this money from all these refis, because the rates were so good. So that's how we kind of ended up here. I found a home on Clubhouse, and going there for reasons that had nothing to do with insurance or notary. I kind of fell into these notary rooms, and again, hearing people have questions about insurance, I'm naturally going to answer those questions because it's what I do. I'm passionate about that. And I want to make sure that we're all covered. So now that's why everybody knows me as this. And that's why John has me here today. So that's for all of you all who didn't know who I am. That's me in a nutshell. I am the owner of Notarized For You. And you guys can pay me a follow on Instagram. It's Notarized, FORYOU. It's spelled out, Notarized For You. And I'll go ahead and give you my email address if you guys want to reach out. I'm doing all that at the top because we might run out of room at a time at the end. So FPFW, that's Frank Paul Frank William, FPFW Clubhouse at gmail.com. Just have that in your back pocket somewhere. But if you follow the Notarized For You, my notary business page, in the link, in the profile, it has a link to everything, where you can get an insurance quote, where you can book a discovery call with me, and whatever else that's pertinent at the current time. I try to update it. So that's how you can get a hold of me. I am in Clubhouse rooms, but you guys probably know that already. So let's get into some definitions here. So we've already made the distinction that E&O and those acronyms stand for errors and omissions, is synonymous with what we currently call professional liability. Okay. I've said that a couple of times. I just want to reiterate that that is the same type of liability insurance. Okay. So let's get into an overview of what professional liability is. Okay. What is covered? So we're notary publics, right? You're a notary public before you're a Ron. You have to be commissioned to notarize a document in real life, or in 3D, as I like to say, before you can do it virtually. So we're starting at the base, the foundation here. So your classification for your policy is going to be notary public. So what's covered as a notary public? Well, your services and your advice in the capacity of a notary public. Any document or paperwork errors is going to provide coverage for claims of negligent advice, consultation, or just an unhappy client looking for someone to blame. That's the person that we're concerned about. The person who wants to play the blame game. Okay. Um, Oops, I thought I had that on vibrate. Sorry. So we're providing coverage for the situations, for incidents that may occur where people believe that we have done something that causes them a loss financially. Now, there is an opportunity for us to actually be liable. More often than not, people are just upset and they want to blame someone, especially when they got to come out of the pocket. So what we're having this coverage for is to protect us in the event something like that happens. A, in the event it happens and we're found liable, if we don't have insurance coverage, we're going to have to pay for it out of pocket. But B, let's say we don't know whether you're liable or not, but you got to go to court. That's where it's going to be determined. You're going to need to have defense. It needs to be paid for. If you don't have liability insurance, professional liability, then who's going to pay all those fees, because they start to pile up, right? So those are things that we want to take into consideration. We want to make sure we have coverage for that unhappy client that is just looking for someone to blame, and that person will be you. Now, limits are something that are talked about on a case-by-case basis. As a professional, an insurance professional, a licensed agent, I don't recommend anything less than $1 million. But my job is to educate you on what you're at risk for. You take that information and do with it what you like, and you determine a coverage that, allows you to work, allows you to sleep at night. You know, the one other thing that I like to make sure you guys understand is that the amount of coverage that you need doesn't have to do with your assets or how long you've been a notary or a Ron. It has more to do with what the people who you are providing a service for, what they potentially can say that you've done, because it is a third party coverage. It covered you for damage to someone else. So their financial loss, not yours. Okay. So it doesn't matter that you only make $5,000 a year and you only notarize maybe 5 times a month. That's irrelevant. It could be that one of 5 that you did in September where someone is saying that you're responsible, that you're going to need defense for, and potentially need a policy that's going to have limits to cover. Okay, so I just wanted to explain that. Let's dig a little deeper. Who's covered with professional liability? So you are, if you're the only one who works for your company, but let's say you have other notaries who work for you. You might be a mobile notary or a Ron notary service, and you have people who work under you as a W-2 employee, um, or a contract worker. Your company is covered, so notarized for you. If I have people who I pay hourly W-2, they're covered. If I have independent contractors, which is what we are to signing services, for those of us that do loan signings, if you have people who work for you and you pay them on a per notarization basis or whatever your arrangement is, that is not by the hour, they're contract workers, they would be covered as well. Okay. um where? Anywhere in the world, but because we're only bound by the state and counties that we're commissioned in, that gives us a bit of restriction, based on what you can do. So you have to make sure that you are practicing your notary public duties where you are allowed to legally do them based on the state that you're commissioned in and what the Secretary of State has outlined as far as your activity, right? So that's E&O. Again, those acronyms stand for errors and omissions, which more commonly you're going to see referred to as professional liability. E&O is an antiquated term, but very relevant and very popular in the notary world. So you'll see it all the time, but if you step outside of it and you're looking for quotes for insurance, you don't necessarily see E&O. If you see professional liability, it's the right thing. Okay. So let's talk about Ron, right? Okay, we're notaries, but now we decided we want to focus on being a remote online notary, meaning that you're doing it virtually. It's not tangible. You're not touching paper, no paper cuts for y'all. You might have numb thumbs and index fingers from scrolling, but you're not going to get those paper cuts that you don't realize you have on your hand until you get that hand sanitizer and spray it and you yelp at the table doing a refi. I'm sharing some of my daily situations. I don't get to do Ron in California yet, so I'm just waiting for the day. But as a notary, not just the traditional brick and mortar notary where we show up to someone's house or they walk to our office and get something notarized. Those of us that are doing anything that has to do with information being communicated electronically are at a greater risk for something that is running rampant in the world today, and that is identity theft. So that is the big deal as it relates to what am I at risk for as a Ron, remote, online, or virtual, meaning it is all being transacted over an electronic device, over your computer, over your tablet, your mobile device, whatever it is that you can do your job and it's not in 3D, as I'm going to refer to it, is virtual. Those are things that we're at risk for someone's information being compromised. The big thing is their personally identifiable information. Okay. It sounds like it's not grammatically correct, but that's what it is. It took me a minute to get over that hump. So if you guys have a notepad, write this term down: personally identifiable information. So I'm going to give you the smallest of example. And when I say that, you're going to know how much more that we deal with in our day-to-day function that is going to be included. No, I don't have a presentation. Someone's asking. No, I'm just talking. I'm kind of old school. My camera is my podium. Um, so personally identifiable information, right? So very simply put, a person's email address. Laker fan 90210 at emailme.com. If somebody can identify that as my email address, if I'm known for having that email address and that information gets into the hands of the wrong person, something as simple as a person's email address that gets into the hands of the wrong person because of you is an example of someone's information being compromised. Okay. So that's very small. Now, as Ron's, how much information do we potentially have access to? Their whole entire lives. As a loan signing agent, I could create a whole life in your name if I was not an upstanding individual. And people do this, which is why it's a problem. And it is happening. It is happening at a very, very high rate of speed, especially now since the pandemic. I always make the joke that everybody found extra time to do something during the pandemic. I found all the extra snacks, but the hackers found ways to get a hold of stuff that I don't know. I actually was a victim twice since the pandemic. Um, and one of those was for a debit card for a bank account that I had never even activated. They didn't take money from the account via ACH. They literally did a transaction, like ran a Visa charge on a card that I personally never activated, but they got crafty, right? This is what we're up against here. Um, just a couple of fun facts for you. For the year 2020, the top 5 types of identity theft. Government benefits applied for or received. Well, we already know, we know about that, right? Those scammers, they had a good time last year. Credit card fraud, people creating new accounts. What do they ask for when you apply for a credit card? Your name, your address, your social security, a phone number, annual income. I have about 4 or 5 times that amount of information printed out in my folder right here for my signing tomorrow. I can go get all the credit cards I want to. I already know what their credit score is. Obviously I'm not going to do that, but I'm letting you know what we have access to as notary publics. Miscellaneous identity theft, that's just anything. You have enough of a person's information, you can do anything with it. Business or personal loans is number 4. And number 5 is tax fraud. I was a victim of tax fraud twice. Now you see why I want to be called Tricie John? I'm scared. No, but these are all actual factuals. Those are the top 5 for the year of 2020, right? So there's a coverage that's going to provide some protection for us. It's called cyber liability. Cyber liability is a coverage that may be included in your current professional / E&O policy. I may not be. It may be endorsable, meaning that you can call and say, hey, can you add this coverage to my policy for me? It's a standalone policy. You can, apply to get that. Or some policies have it. The company that John and I partnered with, BizInsure, they have one of the companies that we write for, Beasley. It is a standard coverage with the policy. Now, here are some of the coverages that are automatically included. And this one is a standard of $50,000 that you're going to get. Now, this is coverage specific to claims regarding a breach of privacy. $50,000 for this particular policy, right? So let me give you an example of something that can happen to you as a remote online notary. Just say you happen to open your emails one day, seeing maybe what your next order is, or who knows what you're doing. You just open your laptop, you start working, open an email, you accidentally download a virus, lock yourself out of your system, and meaning like you actually have a zero access. But as a result, your computer starts to download a person's personally identifiable information. to a third party. That right there, by definition, is a breach of privacy, and it can cause a wide range of issues. Now, in the example I'm giving for the company that I represent, in a case like this, that policy, cyber liability coverage, would employ an expert to fix the issue for you. It'll let you know how it happened. They'll contact your affected clients, and that could be something that's time consuming if you have a lot of people that are affected. So, say, they got a hold to information for the last 6 months of runs that you've done. Well, if you're doing damage control and cleaning up and calling all those people, then you're missing out on money because you can't work, right? Or if you're hiring somebody to do it, that's going to have a cost associated with it too. But this potential coverage, or this specific coverage, excuse me, will provide coverage for somebody to reach out for them. Now, they're also going to attempt to minimize the potential for lawsuits and any fines that could arise due to the breach. If you happen to be someone that's larger, like, you have people working under you and you have a brand, so to speak, they would even employ a PR agency if the breach were to negatively impact your business's brand. So, those are some of the coverages in excess of what you're doing as a notary public that having cyber liability coverage would afford you. Now, as a Ron, you're having people's personally identifiable information defined as, like I said, as simple as their email address, depending on whatever the documentation is that they need to have you notarize. That could have some very personal information on it. They have to verify who they are. So you have to get their ID information transmitted to you. Now, all of these things are being communicated in the cyber webs, over the internet, as they call it, right? You're just doing your job. But that crafty hacker that learned how to do stuff without you knowing is collecting everything that you're collecting unbeknownst to you. Someone says their identity has been stolen because they have all these accounts showing up on their credits. If you guys sign up for the credit watch or whatever it's called from these credit reporting agencies, the moment something is applied for in your name, you're getting emails. Imagine the terror, okay? Imagine the terror of sitting up minding your business and your phone starts alerting you that there's been a change in your credit report. I don't even like it when I apply for it myself. I hate seeing a ding on my credit report. Inquiries are the devil. I'm already mad at myself when I apply, especially if it's a situation where I thought it was going to be a soft pull and it wasn't. So imagine I don't have any idea that my credit is being used to, my information is being used to apply for credit. So, but it happens, right? And this person is like, I just don't understand. I have all of my cards here. Here's my wallet. I keep everything in a safe. It hasn't been compromised. How the heck did these people get my information? So now I'm jogging my memory. Well, what could I have done? I haven't had any company at my house. Here's my laptop and I keep a lock on it. I have a lock on my phone. So we're doing process of elimination. Oh my God. When I needed fill in the blank document notarized, I went through, ABC online notary, and I had to verify this, that document had that on it, or that I gave them my ID because of whatever, you know. So now they've implicated your business. Now you have to defend yourself. That's where the cyber liability coverage is going to come into play and protect you, because it potentially could be your fault because it was the interaction that they had with you during that remote online notarization and somebody tapped into your system, or it was compromised just by way of you clicking the wrong thing in an email and somebody got in and was able to pull everything, you know. So I just wanted to give a couple of brief examples of how it would affect you as a notary, and how, as a remote online notary, you know, you could be affected by, just a person's information getting leaked into the wrong hands, not intentionally by you, but on purpose because the hackers sought after, they could even be following the person. If your information gets leaked on the dark web, and it happens, no matter what you do, they can tap in and just get what they want to. They can. Thieves are good, and if a thief wants to steal something, they're going to get it. So we have to make sure that we're protected as people for our own personal information, right? And then as far as businesses, we have to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do to protect our customers. So one thing is having the proper coverage that's going to give you that peace of mind and protect you in the event that you are implicated, you are sued, and you do have a case to fight. But let me give you some things that you can do and that you're going to want to do leading up to this happening. And, God forbid we ever have to deal with this, but somebody's going to have to, right? So have preventative measures in place and protocols, some CYAs cover you know what I'm saying? So make sure that you have a lock on your system. Make sure that you don't share your passwords with anyone. Make sure that you're doing everything you need to do to identify the person who you are providing this service for, to make sure that they are who they say they are. There are things that you can do each and every time and make it routine. Make it uniform. Don't deviate, no matter who it is, even if it's somebody that you know. Never skip a step. Cross all your T's, dot all your I's. Number one, because we are ethical, we're business owners. We wouldn't want this to happen to us. That's the reason why we should be doing it from the human side of it. But from the insurance side of it, you want to make sure that if something does happen, that you can say, yes, I did that. Yep. Because they're going to ask, so who do you share your passwords with? Do you have a lock on your computer? You know, regular notaries, do you have a lock on your bag? Where do you keep your journal? Where do you keep your stamp? Have you left your bag in the car while you went traveling? All of those things, if you do not answer it right, it could be a coverage question because you haven't done what you're supposed to do to protect your business and protect the people. Our job is to protect the public from fraud. That is solely what we are here to do. From the beginning, when we're sworn in as notary publics, our job, our first job, is to prevent fraud. That same responsibility covers every part of your business as a notary public. And we have to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and our duty in protection. Okay. So I had, look, I didn't want to talk too much, so I have my bullet points here. So the insurance, if you guys do not have coverage yet, don't raise your hands because I'm going to judge you. I'm only not going to judge you if you're not a notary already, but if you raise your hand and you guys are commissioned and you are transacting business and you don't have coverage, Tricie is going to judge you, and then I'm going to harass you if I see you. Okay? You need insurance, and I don't even care if you don't get it through me and John. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that we are all covered because we're all one situation away from something happening. Okay? And my mom was real old school. She was a hard mama. She wasn't the kind, I guess she was the kind I am to my daughter. She tells me, you're so rude. The life is rude. This world that we walk into, it's rude for somebody to try and make me responsible for their mess up just because I did a notarization for them. But is it going to stop them from saying it's my fault? No, that is rude. How rude and very ghetto. Okay. It's very ghetto. I know that's politically incorrect, John. You're going to have to edit that part. But the point is, she used to tell me nobody had fill in the blank happen to them until it happened the first time. Right? Well, I've never had anybody say that I messed up on notary, or I've never had anybody say that their identity was compromised because of doing work with me. Well, yeah, none of us did until it happened the first time. Ideally, we're never going to have it happen, but do we want that one time that it happens for us to be uncovered? No. Everything that you've worked so hard for is at stake now because you don't have proper coverage, and that one incident will cost you everything that you've worked your whole life for. That's not what we out here to do, not as entrepreneurs, because then we're working for somebody else again, right? So that's just a little food for thought. I don't know if we have time for Q&A, but you guys, notarized for you. I know some people said something wasn't working, and I don't know.
I'm not sure either. I might have done. It was probably about 3:30 in the morning when I spelled that, and
No,
you
somebody in the
typed out.
comments here, I saw it in the beginning. So
Okay.
I'll come in and I'll chat with you guys. If we have time for Q&A, John, we can
Yeah,
do that.
you
I
want
know
to go?
we're a little over.
Well, go ahead. No, let's just do your Q&A here instead of breakout rooms. Is that
Okay.
okay? I'd rather
Yeah.
have
So what do I need to do?
everybody
Open the
answer.
chat?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm sorry. Amy's probably doing a better job moderating than I am. Um, I have not seen the one question I have about insurance. Why do I hear some E&O policy only covers general notary work, but not loan signings?
I see that. That's Myra's question, correct?
Yep.
The one question I have about insurance, why do I hear some E&O policy only covers general notary work, but not loan signings? Because that's hearsay. You have to talk to your insurance company to find out what they cover. General notary work is what we do as notary publics. The general notary work is not excluded from loan signings. You are still identifying people to be who they say they are, and you're going to stamp the document and you're going to affix your signature as well. So there is a gray area about the duties after notary public, because as a signing agent, you're a notary first. Okay. But whoever you were, I gave my email address up above and my Instagram. We're here to talk about Ron. So I'm happy to talk about that other stuff for you and give you some clarification, but this isn't the platform for that today. But please reach out to me and schedule a discovery call. Listen, I'll talk your head off about insurance, trust me. But we don't want to take up John's time for that.
No, you're
Okay,
fine. We
let's
can all talk shop. Yeah, we could all talk shop all day. That's a problem. We all
find
go.
me another question, John. I know
I'm
you probably
looking. Let's go ahead and say Amy posted easy access to everything Tricie offers at fullpriceforwhat.com. I'm
Oh
not sure.
no. Are we here to talk about that?
Well, I mean, the Amy just sent that out there. And if you haven't seen that site, there's a whole nother side to Tricie that you don't know, and she's out to save you some
I
money.
have
So
many wigs. I
there
told you
you go.
I'm in my
So,
corporate wig today.
now, for insurance, let's just say, how do they get a hold of you?
So
Get
yeah, like I stated at the top, and I don't know what problem somebody had, but it's notarized, notarized for you, FORYOU, notarized for you on Instagram.
on Instagram. Okay, gotcha. All right, and you can message you there. Then does that sound all right?
Yep, they can message me there, or the email address is FPFW. The acronyms Frank Paul Frank William, FPFW Clubhouse at gmail.com. I'm very specific because I wear a lot of hats. Let me quit saying wigs. I juggle a lot. I'm a very categorical person. And if you want me to talk to you about this stuff, you have to email me
Right.
or reach out to me there so I can respond to you about that. And you don't want to go to that other
It's a whole different
domain and then,
stream, right? It's a whole
yeah,
different stream, isn't
it
it?
is. And then you'll get lost in the sauce over there. I see
Right.
messages from people who have reached out to me 3 or
Yeah.
4 days, a week or
Exactly.
two ago. My admin might see it, so it's not bold. I'm
Right.
not the only one who runs it. That's another business of mine.
Gotcha.
So
Excellent.
yes, notarized for you. And if you go to the link in that profile, there's a link to everything, my Calendly, so you can book a discovery call. Go ahead and get your insurance policy. Sign up. It takes you 30 minutes to have a certificate to show to somebody. literally from start to finish. It is the easiest thing. And one thing I want to tell you guys, when you are applying for your insurance and it asks what you make, we all want to be millionaires the first year. We mess ourselves up by overstating what we're doing with insurance. Insurance companies are going to charge you based on what you tell us that you're doing. You don't pay $500,000 income premium. If you're just starting out, be conservative. 10,000 is a good amount to say. And if in 3 months you see you've already hit $10,000 and you can gauge better, you can always call back and increase it. Okay. But we don't have to start off making all the money, because, you know, more money and more problems, you mean you pay more. So let me just give you guys that bit of advice. And I'm not talking about coverage. I'm talking about the question that specifically asks, what do you anticipate your revenue to be for the next year? That's going to play a hefty part in what you're going to pay in premium. So we don't want to overstate it. We don't want to pay for $1 million in income until we're making that much.
Right.
Let's see. Let me some other questions. Amy, thank you so much for those links. I sure appreciate you. Easy access to everything. I'm a coin that term.
She's doing a good job for helping me moderate. I sure do appreciate it, Amy. I've got.
She is amazing. Thank you all, you guys. I'm just looking over here, John, you guys, to see if I missed any questions.
When you lock your computer, what's a good system to use?
To lock the computer?
Yeah.
Oh, I just lock mine, whatever is on this MacBook.
Yeah.
Oh, well, not like a virus program. What do you recommend?
I'm gonna sound real bougie. I have a MacBook.
I heard.
Sorry. I don't want to be that person, not from being from California in the Bay Area and all. I promise. I just got it last year, but that was one of the biggest things for me. They don't get viruses.
Yeah, but they tend not to work well.
Well, we're not going to have that conversation.
I was going to say, we're going to get into the weeds here real quick with that. Apple or iPhone or Android?
I'm only answering that way because that's what my knowledge base is at this time. Right. I don't have that. Sorry. Okay. Someone says we need 2 separate policies, right? GNW and LSA. No, I addressed that already. We'll talk about that later. Let's see. I'm just going back up. Read the privacy policy. Oh, that's for Ron platform.
Yeah. Good advice. Yeah, there's that question again. How many insurance does one need? Meaning E&O, cyber, maybe bond, what else?
Yeah, well, bonds are similar to insurance, but it's more it's assurance, I'll call it, just so you can decipher, because people do get that confused too. I am the signing service or the title company, or the whatever, because it's like a fidelity or surety bond. And I want you to do work for me. I need to get a bond on you just in case you are not trustworthy. So in case something is not handled properly, I'll have some coverage for what you may have done that was fraudulent, so to speak. Like to work at banks and certain corporate companies, depending on the position, you have to be bondable. And that's different from insurance. So I don't want to get too much into that, but it's more of a protection for the person who is hiring you. That it's not a first party coverage. It's not for you. You need to be able to be covered under a bond in the event you turned out to not be trustworthy, so to speak. That's just a broad general answer. I'm just scrolling up, you guys. You guys are asking a lot of questions about signing agents. I just want to remind everybody that we're here for remote online notary. Now, correct me, John, how much refis and loan stuff is done? Oh, because I don't have any knowledge. So maybe
It all depends. It just depends on, who your clients are and where
So it
you're
is
marketing.
possible.
Yeah, there's some people that are killing real estate with remote online notarization.
Okay. Well, educate me real quick. So let me answer the question then, because I don't want to talk too much about that if
Oh,
that
no
had
problem.
nothing to do with this. So here's the beauty of it. And I'm answering people who are asking about signing agent duties that are remote, not the traditional.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of it is that gap in coverage that we all want to know about, that I'm avoiding the answering the topic, the question to that topic right now, is kind of eliminated because all you're doing online is being a notary for that loan signing. The problem comes into play where people are questioning in the traditional sense is what happens after you're done witnessing the signature and confirming identity. People want to know what happens if the documents get lost or if they get wet or if FedEx said they didn't receive them. Well, you guys don't have that problem because it's virtual. That portion of it. So if it's being done electronically, the gap in coverage is null and void because you're not jumping in the computer to deliver them back to the platform that sent it to you.
Interesting.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does, but it's something that could be another topic for another day, just about,
There always is so, and another thing about insurance, guys, everything
yeah.
that is covered is done on a case-by-case basis.
Oh.
Even if it's just your signature and you identifying the person, you being in the capacity of a notary, and that's it. I can't tell you that for sure if there's a claim that I guarantee they're going to pay this claim. No, it's all done on a case-by-case basis. That's industry wide. So the hypotheticals, not only is it frustrating, but it's a waste of time. Just make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do in the capacity of whatever your designation is. Make sure you are within the laws of your state. You're doing the things that is normal activity for whatever it is that you do. And if you are doing the CYAs that I told you, having those protocols, those policies, those procedures in place, being uniform, doing it every time, not making allowances for this person. I don't care if it is your cousin. I don't care if it's the neighbor who grew up down the street from you, you've known your whole life. You have to handle business. And those are the things that are going to ensure and increase the chances of there being no coverage questions when it comes down to a claim. But the hypothetical questions, there's potential for everything to happen.
Right.
We can't get into that. Nobody has time or the patience.
Hey, no, you create your own YouTube channel. You can go off on that if you want to, but all right. Well, thank you, Tricie. We appreciate your time and your expertise, and this has been enlightening and something that we all need to pay attention to.
Yes.
There's two sayings. I think I told Clyde the other day that a notary was only as good as its journal, his or her journal, but I think you could substitute insurance for the same thing. You're only as good as your insurance, really. I mean, crap may hit the fan. It may not. God bless you if it doesn't. You've lived a wonderful life. But
Yeah.
when it does, the policies kick into place, and you're going to wish you had good coverage. And the time to think about that is now instead of later. So
Definitely, and especially just before I go, you touched on something because we cheat ourselves being cheap, right? And of
yep.
course, I'm the deal queen, and I'm saying that, but I cut corners in places, so where it matters, I show up and I pay.
Right. There
We
you go.
brag and we talk about, oh, I'm going for X amount of dollars this month. I can do 6,000. I'm doing 10,000 easy. I don't want you bragging about that, but then saying you don't want to spend $500 a year on insurance, because guess what? With the increase in work, statistically, you're increasing the chances of something happening.
Risk for more liability. Exactly.
Pay for the coverage for that lifestyle you want to live. That's just like getting that foreign car, but then not wanting to take it to the dealer to get it serviced. I don't want you to pull up in a Bentley to the AM PM Arco. Anyway,
I bet
y'all
you
can
got a
come
lot
to
of
the
these.
Tricie show
I love it.
for my crazy antics.
I bet your daughter gets to hear a few of these too, doesn't she?
She's over me. She's a freshman in high school.
Love
She could care less about what I have going on. She put my ring light up for me, so she's the production crew for today.
Awesome. There you
She
go.
asked me if I wanted some highlighter. I said, I left my wig off. We can leave the highlighter off. No, seriously. But, you know, she's used to me. I talk about this stuff, but I appreciate the opportunity. I am so excited about what you're doing today, John. I've been sitting
Thank
in,
you.
I'm popping in and out the rest of the day.
Appreciate
But you all are just don't even understand how lucky you are what's going on right now. This is an amazing event. You guys show up for as much as you can. I know I answered as much as I could. I touched on what I thought was relative, but there's so much more to insurance, and there is going to be stuff that's specific to you and what you do. So I welcome you to reach out to me. Again, for the last time, is Notarized for You on Instagram. There's a link in the profile there. Reach out to me, book a call, get your coverage. Let's talk about it. Join the Clubhouse. If you guys are on Clubhouse, I'm in the Notary room. What else am I in? I jump in on the Supermom Notaries, and Wednesday morning, early mornings, dropping gems, and I jump in whenever I can. So I'm available. So reach out to me, you guys. You got this, and have a great rest of the week. You'll see me popping in and out. Okay. Thank you, John.
Appreciate it, Tricie. Rose had a neat question, but we're going to defer on that one, Rose. That's got political ramifications of global nature there on cybersecurity in China and AI and yeah, that's above my pay grade. Sorry, lady. Sorry, Rose. It's a really good question, and it's a fair one, but I apologize. We got to keep this train rolling. You know, Tricie, appreciate your time, and Clyde, I appreciate your patience. Yeah.